Welcome to take two of another edition of the WiseTake DFS Podcast. I am CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And yes, I'm still joined here. Luckily, he didn't walk out on me. It's still Matt Amon, WiseTake regular. You can find him on Twitter at MattAmon123. And Matt was just telling us about his wonderful Mother's Day he had, in which I believe you had to sneak away to get your fix in, your DFS fix in for the day, right?
Yeah. Between all the mothers today, I had to sneak into the bathroom to get a few lineups in to get my fix. But I didn't play too much today. I made a little bit of money, but nothing special. But it was great to spend a day with all the mothers that are so good to me.
For the mom. And now it's coming to me. Like, I thought that's where we left off, and it's all good because I like hearing that. I like hearing positive stuff anyway. But I realized that what we were talking about was slate, and it just kind of hit me like a weird deja vu thing. So what were we saying? The pitching is bad.
Yeah, I was saying it's an interesting slate because there's no good pitchers. There's no pitchers to pay up for. Salary's kind of not a thing. I think you can just play whoever you want to play, because the pitchers are all so cheap. So you can just kind of do whatever you want. And I say it's interesting because, there's no pitchers you want to pay up for and nobody you're excited about. But also there's no teams that you're really super excited to stack, because the real gas cans are a little bit protected because they're pitching in really good pitchers' parks. Your Mike Pelfrey's at Angel Stadium and your Matt Cain's at San Francisco. So I said I'm excited to get to it, to review the slate and kind of figure out where we want to attack.
Yeah, it's always nice to do these pods, even though it's the night before, to at least when we wake up tomorrow, we have an idea of where we want to start. Because sometimes, man, like just deciding what you want to do, sometimes it really helps to just talk it out or write it out or whatever it is that for to do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm thinking about it as soon as I see it the night before. I'm thinking about it, and I don't really know what I'm going to do until 2 or 3 hours before lock. I'm kind of thinking all day which direction I want to go. I'm researching it, and it might be, 5 or 6 hours of really looking into it before I decide on what I want.
Yeah, that's certainly interesting, especially like with me when I'm obviously I do play cash games, so I'm big on pitchers, and one of the things that'll help me differentiate a pitcher, like it'll come down to these two guys that maybe I want to put in cash, and I got to pick one on FanDuel, let's say. A lot of times it's what the opponent lineup is. So it kind of, a lot of people just assume that when you play this game, it's not like the NBA. There's very rarely a scratch, so it's okay to just set your lineups early and just kind of let it do its thing. And as long as nobody's as long as everybody's playing in your eyes, you're good to go. But sometimes it is in a sense not as immediate and urgent as basketball, but it makes a difference. A team's based off one or two players, a team strikeout percentage to go from 15% to 19 or 20% just based off a couple guys.
Yeah. I mean, just take the Yankees, for instance. You were telling me the other day that, going in, we didn't think Dallas Keuchel was in a great spot because the Yankees don't strike out very much and they're, a good lineup overall. And then you take out a couple guys that don't strike out very much and you add in Chris Carter and Aaron Hicks, who strike out a lot. And all of a sudden, Keuchel's in a much better spot than you had originally thought. So, yeah, the lineups make a big difference. And that's, of course, why I end up waiting a lot until the end. And then some days I find myself in an eeny, meeny, miny, mo situation where it's like, well, I like these 4 teams. I like them all about the same. It's, close your eyes and point at the page.
Yeah, man, and this could be one of those, man, because it's like you said, it's like, yeah, okay, you what you do have is some pitchers that are bad. Problem is they kind of have the ballpark in there, and then you don't have anybody that's great, but then you don't have anybody like that you love to hit in other than the Diamondback game, but then that's just the one game. I mean, you got like you love to attack Pelfrey, but they're playing in Los Angeles, like you mentioned. The Brewers have been hot, but they're playing in. What's that?
I said, and they aren't even very good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. I think Matt's done a good job of making sure everybody who listens to the pod knows that his Angels are not good.
But hey, you know what? Mike Trout is good.
He's good, man.
And he's been on fire. Home runs 3 straight days, and not only that, he's been stealing bases too, and he looks good. So I'm at least excited about that part.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely something. Well, you got Mike Trout, man. As long as they lock him down long term, the rest might just fall into place for him.
I hope so.
All right, man. So let's go ahead and talk about this slate. So we're not going to talk about this early game. I know at Cleveland and Carrasco, two of the literally they would be the best options on the slate, but they're not. They start at 6-10, so they're not on the main slate. We're just going to talk about the main slate here. We got Bartolo Colon of the Atlanta Braves visiting Mike Balsinger of the Toronto Blue Jays. Go ahead, Matt. Start us off.
Yeah, I think Bartolo's completely lost it. I think he's finished. He's finally old. The hot pockets have caught up with him. So I don't think you can play Bartolo. But as I've said almost every day, I don't think the Blue Jays lineup is very good. It's just bad. And until they get some of their big guns back, Donaldson and Tulo and Martin, I'm just not going to have interest in these guys no matter who they're playing. But that being said, I don't think I have to settle for Bartolo, on this slate. I mean, if you want to take Kendrys Morales or Justin Smoke or Ezekiel Carrera at the top of the lineup, as one-offs, those are all fine. On the other side, I would actually have way more interest in Atlanta bats. Mike Bolsinger, I don't think is as bad as Bartolo is at this point, but he's certainly not good. He doesn't have a high strikeout percentage or anything like that. He made his first start of the year last time out against Cleveland, and it looked like he was, just good enough that my Cleveland stack didn't do anything great. Yeah, just good enough. But I do think that Atlanta has some, big bopper, big lefty power that can take advantage of Bolsinger. Freddie Freeman's a great play every day. I love Ender Inciarte. Matt Kemp is a decent play, and he's really fairly priced, even though I don't know if that's necessarily going to matter. But yeah, the Braves right off the bat, I think may be in consideration, and they do get a league upgrade into the American League. They get to add a DH, and Toronto's a fairly good hitter's park.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting because obviously that I've been working on putting together some more different types of data stuff. Just reading it and trying to interpret it a little bit better. And it's interesting with a guy like him where Balsinger I'm talking about, who doesn't really have a big sample size. So it's tough for me to say like I like him. But it's easy for me to say I do like the Braves. I mean, I look at Freddie Freeman. How do you not like Freddie Freeman in this spot? And another thing that's interesting is Toronto isn't ranking that well in hitting on the hitting side of ballpark rankings this year. But I think it's because Toronto's not hitting home runs. Yeah, exactly. So it's still a decent park for hitting. I think we have to remember that. And I think it's like you said, Kemp, Freeman, some of these guys that can really put the ball out. I like the Braves, I really do. And even though Bartolo is quote unquote eating one too many hot pockets, Toronto's been that bad, man. Their team WOBA so far this year is pretty terrible against righties, man. So even though Colon's not sure, you figure they're gonna put it in play. It's just what are they gonna do with it? They're not really hitting the ball that hard, and that's concerning. So I don't know. Batista seems to be waking up. Smoke had a couple of games, so they can. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I got the Brave side a little bit more here.
Yep, me too.
All right, we got Joe Musgrove of the Houston Astros visiting Dan Straley of the Miami Marlins. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, a couple slates ago, we had a similar slate where there was no good pitching, and I remember Dan Straley was in Tampa, and he was kind of chalky that day. I don't think that'll be the case on this day because Houston's just, Houston's a potent lineup, and also they haven't been striking out at all this year. And so I just think that the Astros are too good to want to use Straley here, and I actually think that the Astros bats are good plays in play here. On the other side, I think Joe Musgrove is a pretty talented pitcher, and I would rather use him here than Straley, just because I like his talent. I think there is some upside in there, but he's had some control issues this year. He's been giving up home runs. So I think that the Marlins are interested here also. Like I said, it's just a really interesting slate because there's just nothing on either side that you're really excited about. I mean, I could make an argument for Straley. I could make an argument for Musgrove. I could make an argument for the Astros, and I could make an argument, for the Marlins. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to go to Straley just because the Astros are too good and they don't strike out. I think I'm more inclined to go with Musgrove just because I don't think that Miami lineup is super scary. But, there's plenty of bats in there that, maybe by tomorrow I've talked myself into, Ozuna and Stanton and Bohr and Yelich, and D. Gordon and Dietrich are all, good plays, and maybe that's the contrarian stack I want to go to. But at this moment, I kind of feel like everybody in this game is kind of, not quite, I want to play the pitchers, not quite, I want to stack the bats.
Right. Yeah. I think, I'm with you. I don't really like either pitcher either. But I think I would be on the Straley side, and the only reason for that is because, and again, I don't like Straley. I'm just saying I would be on his side only because I think I like Miami better at the spot, mainly because Straley is at home, Musgrove is on the road, so I'd like, Musgrove's got to prove a little bit to me that he could pitch on the road. We've seen him at home do decent at times, but I want to see what he's got. And Miami is not a team that's known for strikeouts. It's going to be interesting to see how many lefties they put out. If they only, because Musgrove, there is a clear difference, at least this year, as far as his lefty-righty split. So if Miami puts out, what I'm assuming they will, which is a bunch of lefties, then I'm going to like all those lefties. Justin Bohr is one of the guys, the first baseman, always goes under owned. He's underpriced. So in a tournament setting, I don't think I would. In a cash game setting, I wouldn't feel comfortable pivoting from Bohr to, off Freeman to Bohr. But in a tournament, yeah, I wouldn't mind. And think about it this way: like you mentioned, you can afford anybody you want. So I would imagine that guys like Bohr in that level at first base in those positions, they're probably going to get overlooked a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, I do like both bats in this game for sure because I don't like Straley. I just think that I have more interest in the Miami bats than the Houston bats, which isn't saying much because on this slate, it's hard not to like Houston as well. Straley's actually been struggling more against righties, so that's interesting. So you know what? I think we're in agreement on something here, Matt, for sure, and that is we like the bats in this game.
Yeah, I agree on that for sure. If I was guessing right now, I would bet that the Marlins have 4 lefties in there tomorrow: Yelich, Gordon, Bohr, and Dietrich.
Right.
So
they also got that guy JT Riddle or Riddle or something like that. I don't know who he is.
JT Riddle. Did he play today? And he's lefty.
I don't know if he played today, but
I know he was injured for a while. It looked like he got 2 at bats the last game of the Atlanta series.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So yeah, either way, we like the bats there for sure, but in both sides. You're gonna have to make a choice, man. So some of these parks not be pretty. They might not be pretty, but we're gonna have to do it. So.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so let's go. We got Zach Wheeler of my New York Mets visiting Zach Godley of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Go ahead.
All right, I am answering chat. All right, let's see what we got. We got Wheeler, your boy, and Godley. I think both these pitchers are interesting, but in by far the best hitting environment of the slate, it's going to be hard for me to not want the bats here. So that's my first inclination. But, an argument can be made for both of these pitchers. The Diamondbacks strike out like 28th most in the league, or 3rd most in the league, I should say. So Wheeler's interesting. I feel like there's some bad karma on this Mets staff. And so it makes me nervous to, want to go with any of the Mets. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe Matt Harvey's, poisoned them. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, and on the other side, Zach Godley has been, pretty good in his 2 starts this year, and both of them were in Arizona. So maybe he's just decent, and the Mets strike out a decent bit. But like I said, I'm more on the bats here just because the ballpark and the condition, and like I said, I don't think Wheeler's that great, and Arizona's potent, especially at home. And then on the other side, Godley struggles with lefties, and what do we know about the Mets is they just have a ton of lefties. Yeah. So I really think that I'm going to be all over the bats here, and I think these teams right now are my favorite 2 stacks.
Yeah. No, it's tough to not like the bats here in the situation. I do think that Wheeler is a very interesting tournament play, and it for the exact reasons you said. I think you understand where I'm going with this because you were making the same points. Right. Arizona does strike out a lot. They one of the most on the slate. I'm sure Arizona strikes out, and they're predominantly right-handed. And you got Zach Wheeler, who at one time, before his multiple surgeries and injuries, was a very high strikeout guy. Have we seen that type of upside? No, but it hasn't been all that bad. The real question is, how long is he going to last, right? He hasn't, shown us that he's consistently going to give you 5 to 6 solid innings. We don't know if we can get a full 5 from the guy. Even if he's not getting rocked, you don't know. So because of that, I don't know if I would feel comfortable putting him in a cash game setting, but in a tournament, yeah, people are going to be on the bats in this game. So you want to be really contrarian and be taking one of the pitchers here. And I do think Wheeler is better than Godley. I do think that. Overall, I'm not, obviously there's a lot of things to consider, but overall, I think Wheeler's the better pitcher. And so if I was going to take a pitcher here, it would be Wheeler. However, like you said, man, it's going to be tough. This is one of the better hitting environments on the night. You got some warm weather, no humidity here. And yeah, I do like the Mets bats for sure. I'm not saying I'm not going to play any Arizona if I play Wheeler. I'm just saying Wheeler's an interesting tournament play. But the bats here for sure, and this, like you said, Matt, this is going to be your chalk right here. So a guy like TJ Rivera on the Mets, first base eligible on FanDuel, 2.8K. Nobody's going to go there because they don't have to. I don't think people are going to realize that, that it's kind of a game theory way of thinking, right? Like you mentioned it, you could play any batter you want. So everybody's going to play all those guys that they can't normally afford. They're going to play all those guys, right?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, they're going to play, Goldie, who hit 2 home runs. One of his home runs today was just a monster shot. I mean, it was just dead center right off the scoreboard. I mean, it must have been 480 or something. I don't know what it was, but it was huge, and he's on fire.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, and for that exact reason, and the chat is asking now about do you think or they're at least mentioning that they think these guys are interesting tournament players, and yeah, I'm with them. I wouldn't play Godley. There's too many lefties on this team. There's too many power hitters in this ballpark, but I don't think Godley's that good. And I think Wheeler is. We knew at one time he was good, so I don't know if he's good now, but we knew at one time he was. We know he still gets strikeouts, so it's interesting, man. Definitely interesting.
Yeah.
We got Mike Pelfrey, the palm licker himself of the Chicago White Sox, visiting get this. They're visiting Fuego's Jesse Chavez, and they're visiting Matt's, or who are representing Matt's Los Angeles Angels
of Anaheim.
There it is. Go ahead, Matt. What you got?
Yeah, it's I love how you always mention that Pelfrey licks his hands, but anyways, we know
me crazy.
We know we can't play Pelfrey because he's just terrible and he doesn't strike anybody out. But on the other hand, am I excited to stack up the Angels? No, I am excited to play Mike Trout because he's been hot and he's just the best baseball player in the world. So I do like Mike Trout here a decent bit. And I also kind of like Luis Valbuena, who's been hitting pretty well too. So, Valbuena, Trout, and then maybe Calhoun, but I just don't think you're going to need it on this slate. And then on the other side, I actually like Jesse Chavez a lot. We know the White Sox are very right-handed. They're not good against righties. They strike out a lot against righties. And so for that reason, I like Chavez, and he's not good, but he's shown that he's, at least competent. And like I said, it's going to be a cool night in Anaheim tomorrow night. And 59 degrees, a little bit into the game. And the marine layer will be real thick tomorrow. So, yeah, Chavez is my favorite pitcher that we've been through so far.
Isn't that scary, man? Man.
Right.
Don't feel good.
Yep.
But yeah, man, I can't go against it. The White Sox are one of the worst. The White Sox do strike out. Chavez can get strikeouts. He can. He's shown us that. You don't have to be a hard hitter, a hard throwing pitcher to get strikeouts. I mean, even Scherzer, man, the dude don't throw above 95. So yeah, I think you're onto something there with Chavez. Great park. All about the weather down there, so that's definitely some great insight. And I would think even the Angels should be able to touch up Mike Pelfrey a little bit here, enough to hopefully get Chavez the win, assuming he lasts there. But it's a shame that that's what we're talking about. But yeah, this slate is that bad. He's certainly a very, very valid option for sure. Okay, we got Chase Anderson of the Milwaukee Brewers visiting Luis Perdomo of the San Diego Padres. Just gets better and better.
Yeah, well, it's funny though because I'm interested in both of these pitchers, and it's crazy to say, but we know the Padres strike out a lot, and we know the Brewers strike out a lot. So, and we know also that Petco Park is one of the best pitchers parks in the league. And like I said, it's going to be cool in Anaheim, so it's certainly going to be cool in San Diego too. And they'll even have more of a marine layer, right there on the ocean. So, this is a great pitching environment. Now both these pitchers aren't very talented, but they're priced accordingly. So I think, right off the bat, I have interest in both these pitchers. It's just so tough because, they're both not very good, but they've had, decent starts this year here and there.
Yeah.
And, it's fine. I mean, Eric Thames is a good play, and he has enough power to hit it out of anywhere. And the same thing with Will Myers and, these guys, they're all fine. Like, everybody in this game is fine. Like, I can make an argument for both of the pitchers. The hitters on both sides are fine. I don't think either of these teams are going to be high up on my stack list tomorrow. But, there's plenty of good plays because, like I said, neither of these pitchers are good. But if I'm going to use the pitchers, then I'm not going to use the hitters. So, maybe you got something better for me than what I broke down here.
I wish I did, man. I mean, I really do. You're right. These are two of the teams that strike out more in the league. However, it's two pitchers that aren't exactly known for their K upside. I mean, Anderson typically gets more Ks than Perdomo does. Perdomo gets rocked, but it's a predominantly right-handed team. And, it's funny too, Matt, because I'm looking and you're right. There's a couple one-offs I could see. But there's not enough players that I'm like I would feel totally comfortable with like avoiding some of these other spots. Like Eric Thames, I love Thames in this. Love Thames.
Right.
Like you said, I'm a believer, man. The dude is jacked, man. Maybe he's not on the juice now, but he was at one point. You see the size of that dude, man? He's huge.
He's huge. Well, that's why they've drug tested him like 4 times this season.
Yeah. He was smart about
this
it,
guy has to be juicing for sure.
Yeah. He's just flicking his wrist and just hitting bombs. But I love Thames here. But then again, then you look down, it's mostly, and then like, Bandy's decent if he plays, but Broxton, Arcia, like Domingo Santana, they're just not guys that you're going crazy over. And then Vegas seems to somewhat agree with us that they both have pretty low projected run totals. So unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess these pitchers are both kind of in play. Because, one thing that's interesting is neither of these guys have amazing K upside, but sometimes, and we talked about this, not on the show, but we did talk about it a little bit. And it's funny how I think we mentioned that sometimes the opposing lineup strikeout rate is almost just as important, if not more important, than the pitcher's actual strikeout rate, right? Because if a team's really cold and they're just not seeing the ball well, anybody could strike them out, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys are still big league pitchers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm sure they could strike us out.
And, both guys have shown at least somewhat K upside this year. I mean, Perdomo had 7, 5, 5, 5 in his last 4 starts. So I mean, it is in there a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the pitchers are both in play. I think Anderson, dude, I don't know. Like, I know there's a couple more pitchers that we have to talk about that may take the role from him, but he might be fairly popular, Anderson.
Yes, I think he'll be very popular.
Now, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, if Chase Anderson is chalk, I am attacking that. I can't, man.
Well, we know you love San Diego too.
I do. I have a weird little thing for them. I do. I don't know why I do, but I do. You're right. But I just like, and I think we talked about it when on the one episode where Straley was chalk. I was like, dude, Straley cannot be chalk. Straley's chalk. I'm fading him. And this is another one situation. He's simply not good enough to be chalk. Like, there are certain pitchers like DeGrom and, like, these other monsters who you can, I know I'm homering out. Kershaw, these kind of guys who, if they're chalk or not, like, you can rest assured that their floor is X amount. If a pitcher does not have the floor I'm looking for, I cannot play him as chalk. I simply can't, And obviously, if people are going to be taking him as a pitcher, that means they're not going to be taking these, these San Diego guys. So Will Myers certainly in a great spot. Margot is a little expensive on FanDuel, but he's been hitting a lot better, so I get it. Schimpf, yeah, Ryan Schimpf.
Schimpf. Yeah, we know Austin Hedges, hits it hard.
Yeah. Renfroe hit one today, I think, or yesterday, one of them did. But yeah, so I do have interest. I think I'm with you though. I think Perdomo is interesting. I think that's very interesting. Milwaukee's had some hot bats. They swept my Mets. They put up a ton of runs, but now let's see how they do in San Diego.
Yep, totally different situation. And also,
Yes.
I see the little day-to-day on Travis Shaw here. And if he was to be out, that would be a pretty significant boost to Perdomo, because that's just, they don't have that many lefties, and to take one of the big ones out would hurt them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point for sure, man. All right, we got Sean Manaea, the lefty from the Oakland Athletics, visiting Giovanni Gallardo of the Seattle Mariners. Got.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Manaea has been out for a little bit. I think this is his first start after being out for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Anyways, Manaea is really talented, and he has big swing and miss type stuff. But before he went on the DL, he was having big time control issues. And then, being his first start back, I'd assume they'll be careful with him. I'd assume he won't go past, 85-ish pitches. I don't like to attack Seattle anyways, so I don't think I'm on Manaea here. And then Gallardo, Gallardo's not a guy I ever play, but I do think he's in play today just because he's obviously super cheap. Oakland stinks. They do strike out a fair bit. Gallardo seems to have been decent. He was decent already against Oakland this year, putting up 27. So I don't want to do it. I don't want to play Gallardo. He's not very good, but I think he's certainly in play with what else we've been looking at. Yeah, on the bat side, Nelson Cruz against the lefty, we know we always like. Gene Segura's in an interesting spot. I think the Seattle stack may go overlooked here, and I think that they're interesting. And if they're going to be contrarian, I think I may have some interest in Seattle.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I like Seattle, assuming that the weather's okay. I noticed looks like light rain. They should be fine. It always rains in Seattle, so yeah, Matt. You make a great point, man. A lot of people are gonna look at this Manaea. Two of their bigger bats aren't in the best spots, obviously, with Seager and Cano. However, like you just said, they got Segura, they got Valencia. Taylor Matter's been mashing lefty, so Nelson Cruz. So yeah, man, I think this is a sneaky offense. You're right, and people even last year, people kind of like Manaea. A lot of people, not that people were like he wasn't chalk every night, but he was one of the more popular, I guess, lower tier off the wall GPP options for people. I kept seeing Manaea, and he wasn't getting rocked or anything, but he was giving up, like you said, too many walks, go past 5 innings. So his first game back after injury on the road, yeah. I love the Seattle bats here. And you could even get funky, stack up the bottom of the order. If it's going to be Valencia and Matter, I would imagine they may bump these guys up. We don't know if Cano is playing. So, but a lot of these guys, top to bottom, these guys can hit home runs. Like any one of them can hit home runs. So, yeah, man, I think I like Seattle a little more.
They have interesting guys at the bottom of their lineup that have speed, too. This Guillermo Heredia has some speed, and Gerard Dyson we know has speed, and then Zunino has some power at catcher, and he's always at the bottom of the order. So, yeah, I think this is an interesting spot. The only problem is you might not need to save the salary and go to the bottom of the order. Right. But, maybe you can figure out a way to pay up big somewhere else, put Arizona in there with the bottom of the Seattle stack, make it work.
Yeah. Absolutely. Trying to type and horrible and trying
to answer. We're all talking about how much we love 5 Hour Energy.
Oh yeah, man! It's exciting stuff. I had to get
it. That's how I start my day off every day.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's how I should start these podcasts off.
Hey, if they want to sponsor, we'll be all about
it. Hey, man. Oh yeah, be all about it. I'll come on here.
My desk right now, I have this Mio Energy stuff. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like 5 Hour Energy, but you just squirt
stuff you pour in the pour it in the water.
Yeah, you just squirt it in the water, and then you just go with it. But yeah, I can't do it this late. I won't be able to sleep.
Wrong choices. That is probably the worst choice to make when you're looking for an energy drink, as far as like not pumping yourself up. It's probably one of the worst.
Oh man.
All
right, let's last game before we just totally lose our mind.
Yeah. Brandon McCarthy of your Los Angeles Dodgers visiting Matt Cain of the San Francisco Giants. Go ahead, Matt.
Well, Brandon McCarthy's the most expensive pitcher on the slate. I would assume he'll be the highest owned, just because it's just like, well, we might as well just pay for it, because what does it matter? And San Francisco's obviously the nut ballpark for pitching, and they're terrible. They're a terrible lineup. The only concern you have is they never let McCarthy pitch deep, and the Giants don't strike out. So is the upside really there? I mean, I don't think it's there. So at this moment, I don't really want to go with McCarthy. He's probably the safest option, but I'm playing GPP, so I don't really care about safety. And if you said, who's going to have more points tomorrow, who has a bigger ceiling, McCarthy or Chavez or Anderson or Perdomo, I would take the cheaper three. So I don't have a lot of interest in McCarthy. And then just no on Matt Cain. I just can't do that. The Dodgers hit righties well, and even in this ballpark, I don't think it can save for how bad he is. So, I think the Dodgers make for an interesting stack here, and I don't think anybody will go there because of the ballpark. But, Seager has the power to hit it out of anywhere. Bellinger's been on fire. We know Justin Turner is reverse splits and crushes righties. Jock Peterson is back. So I think the Dodgers are interesting here for sure.
I love your Dodgers, man. I really do. I think you're right about McCarthy on both levels. I agree with you. I think he's going to be the chalk. He's the most expensive guy. There's got to be a correlation between the most expensive pitcher and chalk on these kind of situations. I think some people don't know, so they just assume that if he's expensive, he's the best one.
Yep.
It's like when you're buying a car.
He probably is the best one. Like I say,
he's
probably the safest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think in cash games there's certainly merit here.
Yeah.
In this ballpark against a bad offensive team, they don't strike out a lot, but McCarthy does strike out a lot of people. So you should get some. He should get 3, 4, maybe even 5. And if he goes 5 innings, consider that a cash game win for you. Consider that that's really all you're looking for from him. And if he leaves with the lead, which I think he will, because I really like this Dodgers offense against Cain, then that bullpen is pretty good and should be able to back him up against this weak offense. So, I think you're right. I think he's safe. He's a safe guy. I think for tournaments, though, I don't think that he's the guy that I want to roll out in a tournament just because, again, there's so many things we can say against him, like you just said, Matt. You know the guy. You know the team. They're not going to let him go more than X amount of pitches. They're not going to let him, you know what I'm saying? Like, this team doesn't strike out all that much, so you would kind of need him to go with a long run if you want to be the top scorer. And I have a feeling that there's going to be one other pitcher somewhere on this ugly slate that's going to outperform him, at least by a little bit, and he's going to end up on the winning team. I just don't think McCarthy is going to be on the winning team just because that's how tournaments go, man. It's just like, what do you think?
I agree.
Yeah. At the same side, I'm not. See, it's different. Chase Anderson, I'll leverage against that. I'll take some Myers, I'll take some Padres, but McCarthy, I will not. I will not leverage against him or that bullpen.
Yeah, like I always say, the Dodger bullpen is good. I mean, if you wanted to do Brandon Belt to be contrarian, if you wanted to do Brandon Crawford, Buster Posey, or Joe Panic or Span, I mean, they're all fine.
They did do well against the Reds.
Yeah, so they're all fine, but they won't make any of my rosters tomorrow.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I love your Dodgers, though, man. I do. I think Matt Cain is a fraud. He's going to get rocked. Dodgers don't strike out anyway. All your best hitters are pretty much left-handed. I love Bellinger. Bellinger's back down to 3-3 on FanDuel, so I don't really know why. You take him out of Coors, and now he's still underpriced. Even in this ballpark, I don't care. I love Bellinger in the spot. I like a lot of first basemen. I think I talked about like 3 or 4 first basemen already.
Hey, we need to get sponsored by Fantasy Draft. That's where you can play, 4 or 5 first basemen.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously.
Hit them and say, hey, you want to play all your first basemen? Head over to Fantasy Draft, and you can play as many as you want.
Yeah, but don't because sponsor us. I'm just kidding. If you want to play it. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't even want to ask you because I know like it's gonna be painful for you to say it, and it's gonna be painful for me to even hear it. But I'm gonna ask you because we have a little bit extra time here.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite pitcher?
Jesse Chavez. Chavez is my favorite, and then Anderson's my second favorite.
Oh man.
I mean, what else are you gonna do? I mean, like I said, if I was playing cash, I would play McCarthy. Right. If I was playing cash on DraftKings, I'd play McCarthy and Chavez. You know what I mean? But for tournaments, I'm probably going to put Chavez, Wheeler, Gallardo, Anderson, Perdomo, Musgrove, all into my script and then just see what it spits out. I mean, that's probably what I'll do. You know what I mean?
Here we go. We got something from Joe in the chat here. Any top one-off play of the day?
Oh, the top one-off play is Mike Trout. Yeah.
Mike Trout. Yeah.
I mean, Pelfrey's the worst. He's been hot, and and like I said, he's been stealing bases too. So he can get you there in all kinds of ways. He's definitely the top one-off play.
Yeah, I'm a little stuck for me. I want to. It's a first baseman, go figure. But I'm a little stuck between like Thames and Freeman. Like Freeman's got the better park. But I mean, Thames against Perdomo, man. I feel like he could just.
Bolsinger.
And don't get me wrong, I like. What's that?
I said Bolsinger's bad too.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I guess the ballpark edge is Freeman, but I guess Freeman. I guess I'll say Freeman for the one off.
Yeah.
You know what? And in cash games, I say Freeman. In tournaments, I'd go with Thames because I think he's going to be less owned for the simple fact that people don't like to take hitters in San Diego. It sucks to say, but the Milwaukee might be a little less owned than well, I mean, like Thames particularly, just because most of the there's a lot of good options at first base, so I think he'll be like less chalky than he probably should be. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you open up first base, there's a ton of options. Like even on this slate, there's so many bad pitchers. There's a bunch of options. So
yeah, I don't think any of these first basemen are going to be too chalky. You just play whatever one you want, or whatever one is in your stack. You know what I mean?
Thames is just so much cooler than Freeman, though. Like, yeah, I think I'd rather hang out with Thames, man.
I think Freddie Freeman's pretty cool. And he's actually from my area. He went to high school about 10 minutes from where I live, so I'm all Freddie Freeman. Yeah, he went to El Medina High School, which is about 10 miles from my house.
Oh, interesting. Well, do me a favor next time you see him, ask him to stop hitting dongs in Citi Field. That shit's getting old.
Hey, lots of people are hitting dongs off your Mets these days.
Oh my God, say it ain't so. It's true though.
Hey, you know what? If my Angels played your Mets in a series tomorrow, the Angels might win. Your Mets are a mess. I mean, just a mess.
Dude, it's terrible too because it's not even like the bats. Like the bats, I get it. Like without Cespedes and without, we're like Cespedes is our offense. So, but like what our pitching, man? Like they almost made me say something I didn't want to say. You see that?
I know. Oh, I know. I mean, DeGrom's been fine. He's been good, but all these other guys are just. I mean, Gesellman, Matt Harvey. Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah. I will say one thing. Just given our conversation right here. I think Wheeler could be an interesting tournament play. Listen, I wouldn't have more than X amount of. He's not like my favorite play by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised. Put it this way, if we found him on at least an SP2 option or something like that on DraftKings, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in a winning line because K should be there. It's interesting. Oh, that looks like Fuego. Fuego was asking if what we thought of Manea.
Yeah, I mean, just real quickly, I said I didn't like Manea because it's his first start off injury. He'll probably be on a pitch count. I don't like to attack Seattle, and then before he got injured, and really throughout his whole career, he's just has control issues. So I just don't see the upside being there.
Right. Sure. All right, man. You want to play some Dong Watch and get out of here?
Yeah, there was one more question a couple people asked about. What you think about BVP.
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. I missed him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm a BVP believer for sure, and maybe it's not just like, oh, Mike Trout hits Felix Hernandez really well. It's maybe Mike Trout hits his pitches well. Maybe he's a changeup pitcher and Mike Trout hits changeup well, or whatever it is. But if you get to this guy's face this guy 30 times and he's 14 for 30 with 4 home runs, like there's something there. Like I know you'll hear some people say, oh, sample size, but for me, there's something there. I'm a BVP believer. I'm a hot streak believer. Like when guys are seeing the ball well, they're seeing the ball well. And for me too, like baseball is an art to me. You know what I mean? It's a craft. Like it's not like football or basketball where you're just like running people over. And if, you're LeBron, you're, better than everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the right way to break it down is, but it's like I always say I play golf, and golf is a craft. It's not really a sport. And, when you're feeling it, when you go on the range and, hey, my swing is feeling good today, like you're feeling it. And, that stuff matters. So when guys are in the groove, when they're seeing the ball well, like that matters. And when they've owned a pitcher, and they see that guy well, they see his pitch as well. Like that stuff matters. And I'll argue with anybody that, BVP is real, hot streaks are real.
I think that was some good in-depth information. We don't hear much like in-depth from you. But when we do, man, it's always some wise takes you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, that's why I'm on the WiseTake Podcast, right?
That's it. That's exactly what it is. Were there any other questions that you came across that I might have missed, Matt?
No, I don't think so. I mean, usually we might go through, my favorite stacks tomorrow. I can brush real quick. I mean, if ownership wasn't a thing, which it obviously is, but the game in Chase Field, the Mets and the Diamondbacks would be my two favorite stacks, right off the bat. But I did mention, with ownership being a thing, if those two are going to be by far the chalkiest, then I might be looking to pivot to, Seattle, who I think is kind of in an interesting spot that I almost for sure will go overlooked. I think, and then the Dodgers too, who may go overlooked in San Francisco, but I just hate that ballpark so much. I probably won't end up going there.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, listen, you hit it right on the head. As far as the chalk bats, the chalk stacks, if you will, it's going to be Arizona and the Mets. It is. The bottom is, and why? Because it makes sense. It's got the highest run total. Teams are projected for the highest runs. Two pitchers who are struggling in life, so it's like it just kind of makes sense. But there are options. Remember, it is a 7-game slate. It's not as big as these 10, 12 even used to be. I think the Dodgers are a great alternative option. Listen, man, does the park matter? Of course, but on a slate like this, man, you got to go with it because Matt Cain in a bad ballpark is probably just as good as Manea in a bad ball in a good ballpark. In a good ball. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to say. They're all in pretty crappy parks. They're all pretty crappy pitchers. You're gonna have to pick your spots and take it. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, this is not a good night for me speaking.
Yeah, and I would say this too on a slate like this. Figure out what you like and get your core small. Don't spread yourself too thin. Don't try to cover every base. Figure out what you like. Stick to your guns. If you're making 20 teams, pick out your 3 teams that you like. Mix and match those guys. And if those guys do good, then you're going to win. If you spread yourself too thin, especially in these big GPPs, you just make it really hard on yourself to get the right combination. So pick what you like and just go with that.
Stick with it.
Yep.
Wheel.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say for Big Long Watch, man?
Nope, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Go ahead, Matt. What you got?
All right, Mike Trout.
Oh man, I didn't even see that coming.
I know I'm so predictable.
It's all good, man. Can't hate best players. I think for me, I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Freeman.
Okay.
And then Thames.
You're just like, I can't have them both tomorrow, but I can have them both in the Dong Watch.
This is my chance here, man.
Give me Goldie. Now I gotta do one more. Give me Nelson Cruz against the lefty. I was gonna take Jake Lamb, and I was like, I can't pick on all your Mets.
I'm gonna go TJ Rivera, man. I want to see a righty sneak up in there. I think he's an interesting one-off thing. Like nobody's gonna play the guy. Him and Bohr are interesting. I think those cheaper options. Obviously, I just picked 2 of the most expensive options on first base, but when price isn't a thing, you get that privilege. But if price is a thing, which everybody's gonna pay at first base because they can. So just consider that. Got to use your head a little bit on these, because just because you can play all the players you want, remember everybody else can too. All right, guys. Hey, man, all you guys in the chat, thank you guys for showing up. Really appreciate it. Always have a lot of fun doing these live shows. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we did get it back up and running. We're gonna figure out all those. Got a lot of big things coming, man. So follow the WiseTake Twitter @wise_take. Like the Facebook page. Stay updated. We're gonna have a newsletter sign up soon on wisetake.com. That'll be going up soon, and you guys can start sign up for the free newsletter, get some updates, and then kind of hear about some of the stuff we've been working. Real excited to tell you guys about it. Anyway, guys, for Matt, for myself, as always, Good luck.
Peace.